Nice to have you here again. So today we're talking about distractions, and distractions is a very broad topic. There's so much to talk about. There's so much to say because everybody experiences distractions at every stage of their life. Distractions are something that are very common to us, and the worst part of it all is that sometimes we don't even realize that we are being distracted, especially for people who don't have a goal in mind, especially for people who are not focused on where they are heading to. So you could be severely distracted and not even realize that what you are focusing most of your attention and giving your time to is not a priority, it's a distraction. Okay. So distractions, what are distractions? In general terms, distraction is anything that takes away your focus from your purposed goal, or if something takes away your focus on what you should be doing at that time, then that is a distraction. If you're a student, you know that, okay, let's say your study time is between 9 p.m. to 11 p.m., right? So when it's time for you to study, you start to play video games. That video game is a distraction. When it's time for you to study, your friend calls you and they want to be on the phone with you for an hour. That is a distraction. When it's time to study, you suddenly remember that, oh, you have not done this or that, and then you want to do that thing instead of doing what, like, the priority thing that you should be doing in that specific time. Those things are distractions because they take away your focus from your goal. Okay, and those things don't really benefit you anything in the long run. They don't have long-term benefits. Okay, most of the time they are temporary pleasures, and the worst part is when we don't realize that these things are temporary pleasures. We feel like they are important. Sometimes we even think they are more important than the priority thing that we should be doing. So avoid distractions. Okay, stay away from distractions because they don't benefit you anything in the long term. Now, there are two things that are very similar. We have procrastination and we have distractions. Hi, welcome to the live. Hi, King Grayson, Sam Moore, Ghosty. Welcome to the live, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Let me know where you're joining from. What state are you from? What country are you from? It's very nice to have you here. Today we are talking about distractions, which is something everybody experiences at one phase or the other. So thank you for tuning in. Feel free to drop your comments, your contributions, or your questions. I would be reading the I'll be reading comments. So Los Angeles, that's nice. All the way from the United States of America. California's finest. Are you a reality TV star? Okay, we have Indians in the house. Nice to have everyone here. So let me not deviate from the topic of today. Now, there are two things here. We have procrastination and we have distraction. They go hand in hand. Procrastination is basically when you are supposed to do something at a particular time, but you decide to do something else. Where am I from? I'm Nigerian. The African continent. Nigeria is the most populated African country, so I think we're quite popular. You should know Nigerians. Royalty. All right, thank you so much. But let me just stay on topic for today. So, procrastination is basically when you're supposed to do a particular thing at a particular time, but instead you decide not to do that thing, you decide to leave it for later. Now, procrastination is as a result of different reasons. It's not just because you're distracted, but distraction is just one of the reasons why people procrastinate. Okay, you don't procrastinate because you procrastinate because you're distracted. Okay, but you could be distracted and not procrastinate entirely. Okay, other reasons for procrastination could include laziness, right? Laziness, loss of zeal, right? Sometimes we want to do a particular thing, but then we lose our zeal to do that thing. We lose our focus to do that thing, right? Exactly. So procrastination affects us in so many different ways. Sometimes we don't even know how badly procrastination is affecting us. Okay, for example, you want to do something today, but then you go ahead and you postpone that thing till tomorrow. Sometimes you realize that you said you would do it tomorrow, but you might end up not even doing that thing for the next 1 month. That's how bad procrastination can be. And the moment you begin to procrastinate, somehow your procrastination will just continue to multiply. The worst part about procrastination is that it slows your growth and you don't even realize it. Let's say, for example, you're supposed to be at 70%, but because you keep procrastinating your hard work, you keep procrastinating studying, you keep procrastinating starting your business, you keep procrastinating going to the hospital, you keep procrastinating on important things, then you would be at 20% instead of being at 70%. But the thing is that you don't even realize it. You don't know what you're missing out on. But you would notice at certain times in your life, when you are more committed, when you are more consistent, that you move further in life, you do better in life when you stick to your goals, when you set your priorities right. One way to avoid lack of motivation, not necessarily. Okay, I think discipline works better than motivation. Motivation means you're waiting for something to inspire you to go and do what you need to do, but discipline is doing what you need to do when you need to do it. Okay, I need to go to school to study, right? Or I need to study at this moment for my exams. I cannot wait till I'm motivated to study. If I'm disciplined, I know that I need to study, so I go ahead and study at this right moment. Okay, I think always waiting for motivation is actually a flaw. It's a character flaw. You will not always be motivated. Okay, ask people that go to the gym every day, do they go to the gym because they are motivated or because they are disciplined? So discipline is a better word, or it's so much more better to be disciplined than to always wait for motivation, because you might not be motivated every time. If you wait until you're motivated before you do certain important tasks, then be rest assured that you would miss out on doing those tasks, because motivation would not always come, especially when your motivation comes from either a person or outward occurrences. But discipline is so much more better. Once you are disciplined, you know that at this particular time I need to get up and go to work. Why do we go to work every day? Is it because we are motivated to go to work? Procrastination is procrastination sometimes is just you being lazy. It could be laziness, it could be a lack of priority, right? Some people are not focused on, they don't have their priority straight. So every day there are, like, let me say 10 to 20 things that are demanding your time and attention. Okay, Ghosty dropped a comment. He said, once I got failed in my favorite subjects and then I realized what I'm doing, from that day I never neglect anything. Exactly. Sometimes we need to see the consequences of our actions for us to get back on track. Actually, sometimes we don't see the consequences of our actions, we might never get back on track. But the only problem with that is that sometimes the consequences may be too large. Like yours came in failing a subject, okay, something that you can still cover up for, you can still make up for maybe later in the semester, you can make up for in the next school year. But sometimes the consequences of our procrastination are so big that it's not something that we can recover from so quickly. So why wait for you to see the consequences when you can prevent it? It's so much more better to prevent bad occurrences than to try to fix them. That's what I'm trying to say. Exactly. People don't have their priorities straight. Every day there are like 10 to 20 things that are demanding your attention. People will demand your attention. The bills will demand your attention. Work will demand your attention. Social life is also there. Don't forget, you want to keep up with your family and friends. So there's so many things every day that are demanding your attention. It's left for you to decide, which one comes before others, which one comes first. And you cannot do everything, so like you cannot respond to everybody that texts you at the same time. So there needs to be a priority scale. You need to know that, okay, this person is more important in my life. Okay, probably my family comes before acquaintances or my colleagues on the weekend. My studies is going to come before my social life. This is going to come before that. That's how you write out your priority scale, because you cannot get to everything at the same time. And don't forget that everything is not beneficial to us on the same level. Everything is not beneficial to us on the same scale. So it's left for you to really figure out which one is more important, which one is more beneficial. Okay, and you cannot keep giving priority to the thing about life is that life comes in stages. life comes in phases. At every different phase or stage of your life, your priorities would have to change. Because if your priorities don't change at every stage or phase, it means that you will not be living a balanced life, and you might actually miss out on some important things. Okay, that's why people say there are certain things you should do in your 20s that they don't expect you to do in your 40s. Okay, because your 20s, you're in a different stage of life. When you get to your 40s, your priorities have changed and you're in a different stage of life. I think the issue comes sometimes when people don't do what they are supposed to do at the time that they are supposed to do it. So they might actually end up doing it at the wrong time. Okay, so procrastination, distraction, they really go hand in hand. People procrastinate sometimes because they are distracted, right? And distraction can come in so many forms. Like I said earlier, you may not even realize that you are being distracted. For example, you pick up your phone to do something, maybe to send an email or to reply to an important message or to do research on something like Google search, and then somehow a notification for Instagram pops up, and then you open Instagram or you open TikTok or Snapchat or a social media, and for the next 30 minutes you are scrolling, you are laughing at funny videos, you are looking at celebrity gossip, celebrity news, you are watching things that don't necessarily add any value or improve you in any ways. That's the distraction. But you may just feel like you're relaxing or you are catching fun or something, but that's a distraction because you had an original plan in mind, you had an original goal in mind that made you pick up your phone, but now you've gotten distracted by your social media. Okay, what you have done is that you have set yourself back in time. Okay, that 30 minutes that you have used to do your research, and gather your points, gather your facts, and move on to the next thing, you've used it to browse. So not only have you ended up wasting your time, you've also set yourself back in your goals that you have set for yourself. Because the thing about life is that one thing leads to another thing. If you don't get one thing done in time, you will not be able to move on to the other thing. And like I said earlier, the worst part of it all is that sometimes we don't even realize what we are missing out on because we've never had that thing. Okay, if you feel like you're stagnant in life, I said this before, that if you feel like you're stagnant in life, what you should actually do is go ahead and look at, take a review of your life. Students are okay. This comment from Ghosty says that students are the most suffering from procrastination. That's the thing, we should not become comfortable. Exactly, like procrastination is such a big deal, and so is distraction. Okay, certain things come to distract you from your studies and you don't even realize that. So instead of spending like 4 years in school, you end up spending 5 years because you were not serious in the 4 years, you were not concentrating. Okay, you were too distracted, so you gained like an extra year. It's nothing bad because we all have different stories of life to tell, but certain things are best avoided than for you to see the consequences of those actions. Okay, there are certain things that you will not come back from easily, because what you would have spent 5 years doing, if you procrastinate too much and you are too distracted from your goals, you might end up doing them in 10 years. Okay, I always feel like we can be so much more better than we currently are if we are disciplined, if you set a goal, okay, and you know that this goal is important to your success in life, this goal is important to you achieving something, this goal is important to you getting somewhere in life. Try to be consistent. Okay, try to be consistent with your goals. First of all, if you're setting goals, set your priorities right, set realistic goals. And we've already discussed that the way to achieve your goals is not to set one big large goal. Goals are best achieved in smaller units. Okay, it's not about saying, okay, this year what do I want to do. You can write your yearly goals, but the best way to achieve your yearly goals is to break them into either monthly goals or quarterly goals, right? And if you have a quarterly goal, then you can now break it down further into a monthly goal. Let's say, for example, your goal this year is to buy a car, right? You want to buy a car this year. How do you buy a car? Let's say you need to save up the money. So how much money do you need to save up every 3 months for you to be able to buy a car at the end of 12 months? So if you have the amount for 3 months, then you know that how much money do I need to save every month. If you break it down to every month, then you break it down further every week. How much do I need to save every week? So that puts things into, like, it's more clearer if you achieve your goals in smaller units than if you try to look at one big gigantic goals. And the thing about some of us is that rather than working hard towards our goals every day, when we write down our goals, we somehow believe that God will miraculously just send down big money from heaven for you to fulfill that goal. It's very possible, right? Like, God has no limits, there's nothing God cannot do. But Are you thinking that because you want to see the mighty hand of God, or because you want to make an excuse for your laziness? Okay, rather than you doing what you need to do, you rather say, like, God is not going to support your laziness, because if you do work hard, you can achieve these things. Okay, and there's so many people in the world. Just imagine that God said had to send like $1 million to everybody just for doing nothing. No, you would never grow as a person. Like we said before, it's not about the destination, it's about who you become on your way to the destination. It's about the process. So for you to become a better person, you actually need to go through certain processes. You need to develop yourself to a certain extent, which is why when the commenter here, King Grayson, was talking about people lack motivation, I said no. Like, I hardly do I ever talk about motivation. Why? Because motivation is not really enough. As far as I'm concerned, motivation is not really enough. What is motivation? Motivation is you waiting for outside sources to propel you, to move you to go and do what you need to do to better your life. So what if outside forces don't favor you? How about that? I think it's not very fair to ourselves for us to sit down and wait for outside forces to favor us in order for our lives to get better. It has to start from within. When you start trying as hard as you can, when you start doing your best, you would even notice that somehow life starts to favor you. Okay, life is always happening, and most often times life is not happening in your favor. For life to happen in your favor, like, you would need to move. I don't know if you understand me. I don't know how best to explain. Like, life is always happening. Okay, so for life to happen to favor you, you would need to be in motion. But if you're still, life is going to happen on you. So for life to happen in your favor, you also need to be moving. You need to be in motion, because that's the only way you can move the tide towards your favor. I don't know how else to explain it right now, but maybe in some other life I will have better words to be able to, explain this. But you cannot just sit down and expect that, everything good is going to come to you just because, without working hard, without putting in the work, without growing yourself or anything. Just sitting down and expecting that every good thing is going to happen to you. It's possible, but it's not realistic, and it's not fair to other people who are doing their best every day. So you cannot always just sit down and wait for outside motivation. You need to be disciplined. Your motivation needs to come from within, and that's where discipline comes into play. If you know that 8 a.m. this morning I need to go and do this thing, and you have your goals in mind, you know what you want to achieve, you know what you're headed, you know how important it is for you to achieve. Like, when we set goals, we need to add a why to the goal. Why do I need to do this? Why is this thing important? And if I don't achieve this goal, if I don't do this thing, what is the effect? I'm not saying add those things so that if you end up not achieving the goal, you can beat yourself down, or tear yourself apart. No, I'm saying write those things because they will also help you or push you to make sure that you actually achieve your goal. Which is like, what's the point of setting goals if you're not going to work towards achieving them, right? So if you're setting goals, it's because you want to do your possible best to make sure that those goals are being achieved. Now, we have serious goals, we have by the way goals. By the way goals, you can forego them. I mean, they're not really necessary. Probably something like, okay, I want to have a garden of my own. If I set the goal just because it's randomly something that I want, I think it's fine. But if I say I want to have a garden of my own because it's important to the success of my life, that's a majority goal. Okay, maybe I work in botanics, right? But if I say I want a garden just for my personal pleasure, even if I don't get that garden, just because it's for my personal pleasure, it doesn't really add any serious value to my life. It's a goal that I can forego, because the pleasure that I get from gardening, I can get it from other things. Do you understand me? So discipline is much more important than motivation. Okay, rather than focusing on outside forces, maybe a person or a thing to motivate you, be disciplined. Let your motivation come from within. If you know what you need to do at a particular time, go ahead and do it. Okay, so procrastination, like this, procrastination comes, distraction is a is as a procrastination is as a result of distraction. Yes, we get distracted. When we get distracted, we tend to procrastinate. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. When we get distracted, we tend to procrastinate. So we should actually avoid distraction. Okay, we should avoid distractions as much as possible. And one way to avoid distractions is to improve our focus. Okay, and how do you improve your focus? Okay, by, if you plan to do it, again, discipline. If you plan to do a certain thing at a particular time, then you should stick to it. Okay, if I know that this time I have purposed in my heart that at this particular time I'm going to be on live, I have no business scrolling through Instagram at this time, I have no business scrolling through TikTok at this time, I have no business being on the phone with my friend at this time, because this is the time that I have said that I'm going to come on live here, right? So like, you begin to realize that everything kind of works hand in hand. There are certain traits that you cannot have without having another one, because that, if you only have one and you don't have others, that one that you have will not work effectively for you. That's why, as Christians, we talk about the fruit of the spirit, and when we talk about the fruit of the spirit, you realize that they all kind of go hand in hand. When we talk about joy, you would know that life is not going to be joyful for you all the time. Okay, like, life generally is not just going to be joyful unless you decide to make it joyful for yourself. So realize that joy goes hand in hand with patience and peace. Okay, if you purpose in your heart that today, oh, I'm going to have peace, you also get joy, right? And it also goes hand in hand with patience, right? The more patient that you are, the more peaceful you are, the more joyful that you feel. If you're patient, you don't take everything to heart, you wait to see the outcome of things, you're not in a hurry, you're willing to understand people, it kind of gives you that inner peace. Okay, and when you get that inner peace, you get rid of anxiety, and getting rid of anxiety, having that inner peace, kind of in turn leads to you having joy. Okay, so the thing about life is that everything kind of works hand in hand together. The moment you get rid of your distractions, you stop procrastinating. Okay, and getting rid of your distractions also demands that you are more focused, you are more disciplined, you are more goal oriented. Okay, so everything kind of works hand in hand together. When you decide to develop yourself as a person, when you decide to become the best version of yourself, like, it's a lot of work. It's not something that can happen in one day, it's not something that can happen in 2 days. Though some people might try to make it seem like, okay, something that happened overnight, but I'm telling you that it's not something that can happen overnight. Okay, in fact, it's something that you could be working on for, let me say, 3 years. You could be working on yourself for like 3, 4, 5 years. It's that hard. It's like breaking an addiction. It doesn't like just happen overnight. But the thing about working on yourself is that the moment you decide that I no longer want to be impatient, I no longer want to be an angry person, I no longer, like, I want to start showing up. It's like when I decided to, start public speaking, when I decided that I wanted to, be able to express myself, I wanted to be able to speak in front of crowds. It's not something that, happened overnight. Okay, if you even see my old videos, you might find them funny, you might laugh at them, but this was like 2 years ago, and since then, because of constant practice, because of my discipline, my dedication, I have grown from how I used to be. Okay, I know this is also not where I want to be, but I also know that I'm in the process of growing, and that's how life is. Okay, sometimes it takes years for you to become what you want to become, but the major thing is for you to see progress every day. The major thing is for you to, once you purpose it in your heart and you begin to work on yourself, you will just notice that the progress has come. I cannot exactly tell you the moment that I decided, the moment that I overcame being shy, and I was able to put because before I found it hard to express myself, like put my feelings into words, right? I could have everything in my head, but I would find it hard to process everything into words and say them out, right? There's a lot of struggles that I had. I cannot begin to tell you the moments that I got rid of all of those struggles. I can't begin to tell you the moment that happened, because I don't know the exact moment. But what I do know is that I started to practice. I started to get better every day. And the moment you start to do something consistently, whether even if you're terrible at it the first time, the second time, your third time, just keep doing that thing. You'll begin to notice that you are getting better. One day you would wake up and you are a pro at that thing, and people would ask you, when did you become a pro? It's not something that happens overnight. It's something that happens over time. You don't see that exact moment, that exact time that they just say, okay, bam, you are this. In my former life, I was telling people that success does not happen the day that you achieve your goals. Success happens or starts the moment that you decide to work on your goals wholeheartedly. Success starts the moment you get rid of procrastination, the moment you get rid of your distractions, the moment you start being disciplined, start being dedicated, start being consistent, start being committed, start being resilient, start being dedicated. Those are the moments that your success story starts. Success is not the day that you come out fully formed. No, success happened all the way through the process. So by the time you get to the destination, to you it's something like has happened over time, but to other people maybe something that happened suddenly. But to you, because of the person that you have become in the journey, because of how you have grown, which is why I tell people that for many people their journey is necessary. If not for everybody, for many people the journey is necessary, because it's the journey that makes them who they are, actually, not the destination. Okay, without the journey they will never have gotten to that destination. So if something happens to you, if it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. Okay, the process is necessary, and you are not meant to, like, you are meant to go through things. Who you become when you go through things is much more important than, what you have even gone through. Some people go through things that are meant to shape them, mold them, build them, but instead that thing breaks them down. Sometimes it's because we don't have the abilities to, see beyond our present condition, or we don't have the abilities to, fully assimilate and process what is happening to us. Or sometimes it's just because of, lack of proper mentorship, lack of proper education and, orientation, which is why sometimes when challenges come our way, it breaks us down. But these challenges are not coming to like break you down or anything. They're coming to build you up. Okay, how you go through those challenges is so very important. So I think we're still on topic of avoiding distractions. Okay, and you need to be able to identify distractions. How do you identify distractions? Like I said, you need to take charge of your timing. Okay, if your timing is loose and open, if you don't know what you are supposed to be doing at a particular moment, it's easy to fall into distraction because you don't have control over your time. But if you know that so time, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, it's much more easier to get rid of distractions, because you have your time properly, accounted for, right? Except you have free open time that you can do anything in that particular time. But life is so much more better if you have time management. Okay, when you become an adult, like I said earlier, if you're an adult that is heading somewhere, if you're an adult with a vision, you will just realize that your schedule will be tight on some days. Okay, so you need to plan yourself. Like, you need to plan how you spend your time, honestly. And by the time you plan how you spend your time, every hour of the day is allocated to a particular purpose, right? So doing anything outside of what you are supposed to do at that particular time, that's a distraction. Okay, like you're already going astray the moment you're focusing on other things rather than what you're supposed to do in that particular time. Okay, so the one way to get rid of distractions is proper time management. Anything outside of what you are supposed to do at that particular time, it's most likely a distraction. Okay, if it's time for you to study, that's not the time for you to be on call. That's not the time for you to be scrolling through social media. That's not the time you want to wash plates or you want to do something else. No, that time is for studying. So if you allocated this time for studying, the best way to achieve your goals is to stay on time for certain things that you want to do. Because if you feel like it's free time, you can do any other thing in that time, before you know it, you are like days behind on your goals. You are, some people are even years behind on their goals and they don't even realize it. Some people have been writing down the same goals year after year after year after year, and they realize that they are not working as hard as they should towards achieving that goals, and that's the major reason why they haven't achieved that thing yet. It's not like life is being unfair to you. Exactly. One of the biggest, thank you for this comment, thank you for the comments, Ghosty. One of the biggest distractions is our phone. Okay, as much as mobile phone is good, because you can be able to stay in touch, you can be able to like be updated, you can be able to reach people easily. People even make money online now, right? People businesses online. As much as it is good, it has also destroyed many lives, which is the truth, which is the fact. I feel like even in schools now, they need to introduce a course, and that course should be, on mobile phone, the proper use of phones. I think that course needs to be introduced for high school students, even some universities, right? It could be a course, because many people don't know how to properly use their phones. Some people stay on their phones from morning to night. They're not making any money. They're not making any valuable connections. Okay, they're not doing anything meaningful or productive. They're just on their phones, scrolling from one celebrity this to celebrity that, looking at the latest gossip, viewing things that don't add any valuable thing to their lives. Why? Some people, it's not that they want to do that thing, but it's just that they lack proper education in that department. They lack the proper orientation, they lack the proper mentorship. Nobody that they view and trust has come to them and told them that, okay, you cannot use your phone this way. In fact, and you know, we talked about in my previous lives, I mentioned that if you want to stop a bad habit, you have to replace it with something good. Many people use their phones randomly because they are bored, okay? And by the time you randomly start using your phone for random things when you're bored, somehow it becomes an addiction. So whenever you're with your phone, you feel the need to just like scroll aimlessly, scroll mindlessly. Only 10% of people use their phone properly. Exactly. Some people are with their phones, but they don't know that they can use their phones to make a lot of money. They don't know. I mean, you, if you're on your phone every day, you might as well, like, if you cannot do without your phone, okay, you might as well be using that phone to make money. That's what I think. That's what I feel. If you're going to be on that device every day, then make some money from the phone. Make some money from the phone, so that the money that you make from the phone, you can use it to finance the phone. Let's not act like having a phone is becoming expensive. Okay, you would what about your data usage, airtime, and so many other things. So being on the internet is getting more expensive than it used to be. So if you're going to be here 24 hours a day anyways, you might as well make some money from the phone. That's what I think. So I think people need to be, students especially, like young people really need to be educated on how they can properly take advantage of the phone. Many people are online doing things that, are not even, don't add any meaning or value to their phone. It's just a distraction. When you're supposed to be studying, you're using your phone. When you're supposed to be bonding with your family, with your partner, you're using your phone. When you're supposed to go outside and do meaningful things, you're using your phone. And not everybody is going to like make money from their phones. Some people actually need to go outside to make a living. Okay, think about footballers. Footballers don't spend all the time on their phone. They're in the training field, training themselves. Think about people that go to the gym. People that go to the gym don't spend all the time on their phone. They're in the gym doing what they need to do. Think about the bakers. Think about chefs. Okay, all these people need to do like physical work. Think about the doctor. Just imagine that your doctor is always on their phone 24/7. How would they know how to treat a patient? How would they know how to perform surgery? So like, not everybody needs to be on their phone 24/7. There are so many real things that we can get out there and do. Another downside to this phone of a thing is that kids are addicted to online gambling. This is worse. Wow. Online gambling. I'm just like hearing this. I don't have a lot of knowledge about online gambling. Making money on the phone, making money, like gambling and making money on the phone, two very different things. So like, gambling is even worse. Any type of gambling is even worse. And the what I hate about this mobile phones is that children get exposed to certain things too early. Okay, before their brain is able to really assimilate the consequences and dangers of what they are getting themselves into, they're already exposed to this thing. Okay, so by the time they get to the age where they can fully understand what they're doing, they're already far gone. That is, one of the bad parts of this phone. And I really wish every child had parents, had mentorship, had guidance, but I'm aware that because of how messed up the society is, not every child has access to someone that really cares for them, someone that really watches out for them. And that's quite sad, but that is the reality of society that we live in. So yes, on the topic of distraction, that's that. I believe I made a lot of valid points in this live. I've said a lot of things that they make a lot of sense. And if you take some time and go back like through the live, I'm sure there are so many beautiful gems that you can pick up on. I can't say everything in one live. There's so much more that I want to say, but I cannot just say everything in one sitting. But I believe I've still said a lot in this past 30 minutes that I've been talking. So avoid distractions. If you want to hit your goals, if you want to go far in life, avoid distractions, avoid procrastinating. Okay, set your priorities right. Learn time management. Learn how to prioritize. Like I said, in a day you can have so many things to do. Know which one comes before the others. Okay, basically just get your skills together. Okay, your traits together, develop yourself so you can be disciplined, you can be committed, you can be consistent. Those are the ways that you achieve your goals. Super chats. Super chat, what's that, and how do I enable that? I don't think I have access to that yet. What is super chat? I don't know what that is, but I think I would I'll do my research and see how that works. Ghost, if you're here for so long, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to give this live a thumbs up. I'll be coming to the end of this live now, but I hope to see you in my next lives. I usually try to go live, like, though I don't have a particular time that I go live. I don't know if I should try and fix that. I don't have a particular time, but I try to go live, like, every day, usually around this time. Okay, yeah, I'm not monetized yet. I think probably that's why I don't have that option. I'm not monetized yet, so like I can't receive money yet from adverts or audience or anybody. I don't have that option yet. So probably when my channel gets bigger, when my channel grows more, I think I would have that option. But for now, I don't have that option at all. So I think that's something that would happen in the future when my channel gets bigger, but I don't think I have that option yet. Though I'm still trying to do my research, but as far as I know, my channel is not monetized yet. My channel is not that big yet, so I don't have that option yet. But thank you so much. I really appreciate for the suggestion. You have been really nice, really lovely. Thank you for engaging with me tonight. I really, really appreciate you. I don't know. Yes, I also hope I'm monetized soon, hopefully. Let me just see how that works out. Again, I'm also trying my best to be consistent. I mean, I don't just say things, I also do try to do the things that I say. When I advise people on certain things, I also try to like live this trait by myself. So lately, I have like tried to be more consistent with this channel, and I have seen, like the result is so much more better than when I was, procrastinating, or when I wasn't as committed. Okay, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you, and I would see you next time. Bye.